All right, I'm not gonna wait on the tardy too much longer because I don't want to be here all day, just like most of y'all. You close that door for me, brother. Thank you. All right, how everybody doing? Watch for people out that way though if you can. How everybody doing? Good morning. How you doing, ma'am? I'm Jatavious Jackson, owner of First Take Financial. Before I get started, I want to highlight the people that are helping me today. It's my good brother and good sister right here with the audio and visual. Call her Michi, and his name is Joshua Gray. He's a business owner, sells the best cheesecakes in Tennessee. So if y'all show love and support me, I wish you do the same if you're a cheesecake lover for my brother over there. So I appreciate them. He's my frat brother as well. I got one of my younger frat brothers back there by the door. I told him he's Nation of Islam today. He's gonna watch the door for me just in case, and all that other stuff. We'll get started here. And then I want to thank you all that came. I'm really hoping maybe at least five more people come because I ordered stuff for lunch and I can't get rid of 21 pieces. So I'm gonna go straight across the street to the hood and let the little kids have. Tell them come on over. Tell them come on. You know they gonna jump me for that anyway. So, but thank y'all for attending. Probably a majority, somewhere near 75% of the information may be elementary to some people, but the idea is to get it out because it's been out. So it's a little easier to be receptive to someone if they're speaking a certain way or if they know what they're talking about. So nonetheless, within certain segments of the PowerPoint, I'm gonna try not to belittle anyone's intelligence by just reading slide by slide, word for word. So I will paraphrase some and summarize, but toward the end of each segment, because I have it broken up, there will be an opportunity to ask questions, and so please don't be fearful. I don't know all things. I know a little bit about a lot, and a lot about a little. So when that time comes, because I know it's harder to sit through something for an hour or two or whatever and try to remember the questions. We all have smartphones and or tablets, writing utensils or something. So I just want to make that evident. But again, my name is Jatavious Jackson. The owner of First Take Financial Services is right here on Madison Street, 1989. Suite 122, 37043, just in case y'all don't know the zip code. I always start anything that I do with disclaimers because I like to be very transparent, black and white, very open and thorough. I am not a licensed nor professional financial advisor. I get a lot of names here being from the city, but I like to be clear. I've heard all kinds of stuff. I've won an accountant award and I put on Facebook I'm not an accountant. But I respect that people love what I do for since everybody in here is black, looks like it anyway, for my community, but I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not an accountant, I'm not an accredited law firm, nor lawyer. Good morning, Chef. I do not guarantee specific results without building and restoring, right? It's a two-phase process. I'm most known here probably for dealing with credit, but it's always a two-phase process. Everybody's report is unique to them and the decisions they made. Any payments prior to starting the restoration package is from the process of electronic disputes. It's actually a law. Well, I know this because I didn't start it just trying to swindle people and then get really good at it. When you have a credit repair business, it's technically against the law and the Fair Credit Reporting Act to receive payments prior to helping someone dispute things. But that's why I put it in electronic disputes because I don't mail anything off. I'm a computer wizard. That's what I originally went to school for. So I know how to get on a computer, excluding this morning. I know how to get on the computer and do what I need to do, but my good brother was there helping with that, so I'm appreciative. And let me not forget, where he's standing, those two sets of doors lead to the bathroom if you got a number 1 or number 2. And while I said that, in the back, and please don't be shy, because I paid for all that stuff. And actually, I want to stop right now. Please go back there and get something. There's gloves, there's breakfast bars, there's donuts, there's orange juice, there's water. Please, please. I got kids, but they don't eat that much. So please take a second to go back there. And excuse me for not remembering. I'm just looking now. I'm like, I spent all that money, man. Go on back there and please get some. Don't be shy. And lunch will be here probably about 12:30. So please don't be shy, because I know it's mostly women in here, so don't even play around with me.
CIA with this on.
Oh, wow. All right, we'll go back and get that started. All right, who is I? Who is Jatavious Jackson? I'm a native of Clarksville, Tennessee. I attended Austin Peay State University. This is real quick about me. For those that don't know, I attended Austin Peay State University. I got my bachelor's in business administration marketing. I then moved on to Walden University where I got my master's in general psychology. I also obtained a graduate certificate in organizational psychology and development. And then I got another graduate certificate in conflict management and negotiation. Prior to what I do now, outside of the credit repair services, tax services, public notary, mentoring, all that other stuff that I do under that umbrella, I was working in mental health for at-risk youth in Ashland City. That's where I started. Actually, that brother back there did as well. And so that was, kind of on our heart. And then just mentoring here just falls under that. So a lot of the youth here know me for standing on them, or trying to anyway. And then I kind of did that for about 8, 9, 10 years collectively. Then I went to Hopkinsville, worked at a hospital there, became a supervisor, and then making sure it's all black people here. Then I kind of realized the people that don't look like me don't really like me a lot as it pertains to in the workforce, because I don't really play around, I don't gossip, I don't rumor, I just come to handle business. So that's just who I am. And so I could not benefit from helping the kids because I was focused on people trying to find a way to get rid of me. 2015, a little bit about how I got started into being self-employed or entrepreneur. In 2015, I became a referral agent for UCES. It's called FES now, I believe. I don't keep up with it, but that's what it was called at that time. Then I became a sales agent, something coming straight out of my undergraduate degree. I was like, man, I got a marketing degree, and anybody has a marketing degree, I would feel, anybody has a marketing degree that's black, probably is like, what do I do? What do I do? Marketing is such an open field. Unless you're in a specified industry. If you think you can sell cars, you might market to sell the car, but you're a salesman to the car dealership. So for me, it was just like really, really broad, and then I didn't like the speed. That's just me, I like to roll. Anybody that's dealt with me know I don't like wasted time or space. So as time went on, I started researching, and I just love being an owner. It's not an accolade to me per se, it's not a thing of arrogance or anything like that. It's just once I learn something and get really good at it, I want to create it for myself. So that's what I did in 2016. Started researching. I'm like, man, let me stop researching for a minute because my credit is terrible. So instead of thinking, let me just start a gimmick, I'm bad off, and then I could swindle people because I know how to talk, I thought about myself first. Let me get me right, then I can actually talk that talk when I'm dealing with someone because it's more genuine. That way to me. It's a lot of people that repair credit or have companies, and they all give you the smoke and mirrors. I understand. I can talk the great talk too, but at the end of the day, it's did you get the results from me, and were you genuinely concerned or passionate about what I'm trying to do in life, what my important goals are, things of that nature. So we fast forward to about 3 years ago when I officially started it. I've been doing taxes about 4 or 5 years now too, so right around the same time I was building a credit repair business, and then I was going through training and assessments to become a tax preparer. So I just took it all on, and I was still in school. My last degree I got in 2018, spring 2018. So I was taking all that on. Then I just had a child 2016, so he was in the Terrible 2 stage. So the household was very, very fun, but nonetheless, I persevered and didn't believe in quitting. And since 2019, I've helped a lot of clients, and I've helped remove over $700,000 worth of debt. Believe it or not, I know, brother, it sounds like it ain't real. I know, but these are facts, man. $700,000 worth of debt for clients, and I've helped add to as well. Like I said, it's a twofold, two-phase process, man. I don't really believe in allowing people to think that hearing the word repair just means dealing with the negative items. I'm educated enough to look at somebody's reports and tell them what they need to do to get to where they want to be. So I'm thankful to have those accolades up under my belt. We're gonna get right into it. I'm sorry, I'm gonna try to walk. I know my head kind of big, but I don't want to block the words, so I'll probably go this way. But we're gonna talk a little bit about several aspects. You got personal credit. Anybody that's self-employed or a business owner, everybody's having the same conversations these days, right? Oh, you can do this with a business, you can do that with a business. There's 2 gripes I have with that. I have nothing against anyone trying to educate someone, but I have everything against someone that's trying to miseducate. So yeah, you can have a business and buy a car with a business. And you know, I need to become more familiar with TikTok and all that other stuff. I just feel so old to it because I'd rather a person pull up on me and I talk to them face to face and tell them what they need to do. That's just me. But one of the gripes is they don't explain to you, good morning, they don't explain to you how to do it. Now they may say, well, you can do this, you can do that, and then when you do, but they don't tell you the obstacles. That's my other gripe. Because in all honesty, when you have that education and you go to deal with someone that does not look like you, they're wanting to see what you know. And it becomes an inferiority thing when you know more than the person that's supposed to be helping you. These are experiences I've had because obviously I deal with credit and I know my stuff, but that's one reason I can't TikTok video that. That takes minutes, maybe hours to explain because it's a chess match in most cases. If someone doesn't want to do something for you, they don't have to tell you they don't want to, they'll just misguide you. So that's very important, but we'll get to that. But first we're gonna talk about personal credit because that's directly correlated. I know there's people out here giving out information about you can do all these things with the business and freeze everything on this. We're not playing that game. I'm just gonna be straight up with you. We're not playing that game to wiggle and move around. We know these people wanna see us better off on both sides. That's not me wanting to facilitate services because you have to pay me to do it. That's just me being honest. We don't wanna play dodgeball when we know they have the power over us. What is a credit score? A credit score is a number between 300 and 850 that depicts a consumer's credit worthiness. The higher the score, the better a borrower looks to potential lenders. This applies to buying a house, getting a vehicle, whether it be personal or on the business side. Because we know in our community, when I say our, I'm talking about the black community, we don't care about interest rates, it seems most times when I talk to people. We just care if we get it. But I'm a fan of math. So if the interest is not good and we know we don't like spending no money no way, then let's focus more on saving money. How does credit work? A credit score can significantly affect your financial life. It plays a key role in a lender's decision to offer you credit. People with scores below 640 are generally considered subprime borrowers. Most of you probably never heard that word because I know when I found it, I never heard it. So I didn't know what it was, but this is that fine line stuff that you're supposed to be reading when they slide it to you at the dealership or whatever, however you're trying to access credit. When they slide it to you and you just look for the payment amount and sign, these are the things that you have to pay attention to. Not only will it cost you more money, but you don't know what you're signing. You just know I want this vehicle, so I'm gonna sign for it. Lending institutions often charge interest on subprime mortgages at a higher rate than a conventional mortgage in order to compensate themselves for carrying more risk. So imagine this, and I'll give this nugget now because it's on my brain, as someone who has financed things through a business, like a vehicle. So one thing that you will notice that most people aren't talking about is that when you try to go do these things, when you own a business, they got to get their piece. Every time you have a business auto loan, I would prefer you to, but anytime you're trying to apply, you want to be pre-approved before you go to a lot. If you don't understand that, then you'll just get caught in that hamster in the wheel effect where you think this is what they're telling me, right? So I'll use myself as an example. I recently bought an Acadia, 2022 Acadia, through my business. So I was pre-approved, and I'll probably show or I'll just tell you how I did it, because that's just me being straight up. So I went to the lot with the pre-approval, and to go back to my point earlier, they didn't know how to do the application correctly. That's very important. So when you're talking about business, there's keywords you gotta hear. Business, either business or commercial. If the application does not say business or commercial, they're not doing the right application. That's just a fact. But if you don't know that, they'll slide you that app that says individual. And you don't know, because you're one person, you think, oh, that makes sense. No, individual means personal. It's, they're interchangeable. So if they slide you that, you gotta go ahead and nicely slide that right on back. Hey, can I make sure that this is for the business? This is a commercial type of thing, business auto loan. And in some cases, if that's all you know, they'll slide it back and challenge you. So you gotta, stay educated on things. But those key words that people aren't talking about, to me, from what I see enough, those are the things you gotta watch out for. Because we all wanna do that stuff on the business side. Now that I've actually tried that, because I'm gonna research before I TikTok and watch all that. I wanna see, because most people don't talk about the obstacles. So the terminology is just as important as the signing. You gotta know the words, because the person with the app, they're used to doing individual. Most people on the lots are only used to doing, and they'll tell you, oh, I don't really do a bunch of those. Okay, you scaring me now. Who's the old head in here? So I can talk to them, because they may be more familiar. I want a clear understanding of what I'm trying to do. I don't want this particular auto loan reporting on my personal credit. So then you get straight to the point. And for them, it's, you know, when I went, my experience was very fun. Not actually, but it was fun to me just to watch them kind of be like rats. I don't know, what are you doing? So he first brought me the wrong app. I said, give me the right app, please. You know, that's why I say it like that. But the correct app should say this. He's like, oh yeah, well I haven't done many, okay, cool. Now you're gonna open Pandora's box. So now I know this is gonna be, you know, kind of a fun interaction. But once we got to the correct app, and then I had the pre-approval, that's when it got real shaky, because most dealerships, they get their money from you paying out of pocket for the down payment, even if you qualified, and from the interest. So that pre-approval had a beautiful interest rate. They don't like that, because now it's locked in. We get no money this way. No money. And any dealership you go to, they understand that. So they see the beautiful interest. Oh man, that bank normally, he was saying all kind of stuff about bank. I went through Bank of America. He was saying all kind of stuff, and it's a trick to get an auto loan through them, and I'll show you how to do that. But they were trying to say whatever it took to, they normally, hey man, I'm pre-approved. So we're not talking about credit. You don't need to run my credit. These are the things that I already knew, but that's what a pre-approval is. So they checked me out, I'm good, I'm allotted this amount. I didn't spend the entire amount they gave me, but all I need you all to do is to process the application and do the paperwork for the vehicle I selected. So when you get approved for a business auto loan, in many cases, they'll have what's called preferred lots. And so I had to go to one of those preferred lots because I didn't really care much what the vehicle was, I just wanted it to be new. So that's my nugget on that. And if you can't remember that, most of y'all know me personally. If not, you can ask me before you leave. But there's a trick on all that, man. We'll get to that. I don't want to hang on that too much. Types of credit scoring, and I'm so glad it's all black people here too, because I can just be wrong. You got the Vantage score, FICO score, Trans Risk, Experience National Equivalency score, Credit Expert credit score, the CE credit score, and Insurance score. For probably the third on down, y'all probably ain't heard none of those. And that's not all of them. It's 30, 40, 50 more. These exist. You won't hear about them unless you do individual research or if someone shows you something pertaining to the score on that report. The reason knowing these is important, like even the last one, if I do Turo, if anyone in here does Turo or wants to do Turo, that last one's going to be very important. We're talking about specific reporting for people who had auto insurances and have either canceled policies, didn't pay. Yeah, report to your personal credit, and I deal with this, dealing with credit. Everything that you see on your personal credit is not everything that you may owe. You have what's called public records. So that's, if I want to screw you out the gate, I'll just send your debt you owe me to public records, and in your county, you got to pay that. Ain't no removing that. Nobody repairing credit. I'll be honest and say, nobody can do that. The next person repairing credit will tell you they can do it. I'm just telling you they lie. You can't remove anything from a public record unless you dispute it for you, and it's something that you know is there. If I don't know it's there, how can I remove it? So that's very important. But for those who want to get into Turo and things like that, you want to make sure you've done right by Geico, Farm Bureau, all the other people that offer those insurances. The ones in between are just subset scores for maybe this type of bank card, that type of bank card, this type of revolving line of credit. That's all they are. But that was me not wanting to type every single one. But and you'll see later in the slides, there's well over 40 to 50 other credit reporting agencies or bureaus. We just normally know TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. FICO score versus Vantage score. What I love about us in the black community, man, I love hearing that saying, and I know all of y'all said it, I've said it, we all used to say it. Credit Karma is inaccurate. I hear it every day. And what I love to harp on about that type of statement is, again, the terminology. Inaccurate, or it has inaccuracies, is not on the monitoring service at all. They're showing you what the bureaus have. So first, if there's an inaccuracy, it's with the bureaus, not with Credit Karma. And then secondly, it's not inaccurate. This will explain what it is. A Vantage score is not the same as a FICO, so you want Credit Karma turned up. I'm about to buy a house next week, I got a 750. Can't wait. About to get this mansion. You go sit down, talk to the mortgage lender, you got a 603. You think Credit Karma done lied, they ain't tell you the truth, the mortgage lender hating on you, no, all three are wrong. They're looking at your FICO. And more specifically, if it's a mortgage lender, they're looking at your FICO score 8 or just your mortgage FICO. Anyone that's bought a home probably knows that. but they may not know the difference between the two scoring. The Vantage score just creates a single tri-bureau model that's used with a credit report from each individual bureau. So you've done this on this side and TransUnion has calculated this your score. That's all a Vantage score is. If I had to say in layman's terms the comparisons, a Vantage score is a little brother, the FICO score is the big brother. So they're closely related, but one's more important. Good morning, Director, because she lets you go to the bathroom. FICO creates a bureau-specific scoring model. So while the latest FICO Score 9 might have one name, there are actually 3 slightly different FICO Score 9 models, and one for each major credit bureau. The base FICO scores range from 300 to, I'm sorry, man, good morning. The base, that's my girl right there. I already knew the base FICO scores range from 300 to 850, while FICO's industry-specific scores range from 250 to 900. I've seen, just from dealing with credit in the last 5-6 years, I've seen one 850, and it was she's probably about 27, 28 now. Her parents did what was necessary, or the information our parents and generation lacked. They did what was necessary to set her up, because I could see her reports and she didn't have a lot of credit. So then I started to think, okay, somebody's smart in your family. And they set her up, and she maintained and then progressed. So I've seen one 850, and I've seen everything as low as a 300 and in between. I've never seen a 900, but it also depends on the model I'm looking at. The first 2 versions of the Vantage score range from 501 to 990, but the latest Vantage score 3 and 4 use the same 300 and 850. That's your Credit Karma. So on Credit Karma, you can see an 850, nothing higher. You can see something as low as a 300. You'll never see a 0, but you could see a dash if you don't have history, or if you have nothing but negative history and never had positive. Vantage scores, the scores developed by 3 credit bureaus to evaluate how creditworthy you are, which is kind of redundant to what I was saying. Yes, it has been, but isn't predominantly now used by lenders, landlords, financial institutions, and I already told you the range. So out there you got people that, of course, I deal with the community a lot because I love to. I'm trying to move, man, and they need a screenshot, which sounds tricky to me. They need a screenshot of my credit score. So I'll entertain it. Okay, which score? Now they lost. Hold on, what do you mean? Hold on now. They need my Experian. I'm like, okay, not which bureau, which score. So that's why I'm so stuck on terminologies, because the people that don't look like us understand those already. So now it's, oh, they need my FICO. Oh, well, I should be straight though. My Credit Karma like a 720. Now I'm scared. I gotta set you up on freecreditreport.com or give you a link so you can find out what your FICO score is. So obviously that person is probably more times than not going to be very low or lower than the individuals they're applying to need them to be. And I can't do magic tricks. That's one thing about me. I'm very honest. This person has 21 days to move. Nobody on this planet legally can do anything in 21 days to get you up 100 points outside of trade lines, but we'll talk about that too. That's just another trick. FICO score, 3-digit number based on what is in your credit reports that helps lenders determine how likely you are to repay a loan. Created by Fair Isaac Corporation. It's probably even now up to about 95 to 98% of top lenders, because we know that with what I was just speaking about, no, it's not inaccurate. It's just that this is calculated differently so a person can get over, with Credit Karma. There are different FICO scores to better meet the demands of today's credit usage and the needs of different lenders. The types, this isn't even all of them either. So you got the FICO score 2, the 4, the 5, the 8, the 9, the auto 8, the auto 9, the FICO auto. You got the bank card score. Most times when you are denied and you get that adverse action for a credit card, you see one of those in the middle. The FICO bank card score, 2, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. The 10T is not as common. And at the bottom, I put FICO score, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because there's so many of them, and I didn't want to type them all, but it's good to be educated on those. Some of them, from the name of it, you kind of know where they're leading with that. The autos are going to look at what you've done previously with auto loans. If you ever missed a payment, if you've ever had it repoed. Let's also keep in mind, I'm a genie with dealing with credit. I love doing it. But fixing a mistake does not help someone forget the mistake. Let's always keep that in mind. Fixing a mistake does not help someone forget that you made a mistake, especially if you go back to the same person you made the mistake with. Who's checking what? That's very important to know. All those FICOs I gave and what's attached to what, just because I've been knowing it for a long time, I still wanted to get the information out. The 8 and the 9 are most widely used. We're talking from an Experian or free credit report perspective. When you're talking about auto, it's normally going to be one of those FICOs with an auto. Credit cards are going to be, like I said, that bank card score. And then on the mortgage, we got the 2, the 5, the 4, and then the mortgage FICO. These you can actually access, most of the FICOs you can actually access through Experian. I have a link through a partner company, Identity IQ, where you can actually monitor 95% closely related what a mortgage lender would pull your score to be. So these are the things that you need to do. You have to be prepared and not sit down and say, well, I thought I was ready. And now you might be a year or 2 years off, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So you have to be as educated as you can be about credit. The money is understood. We know when you should know when you're ready to buy a home. Don't go home broke on your first home. You hear people say that, house poor. Don't go broke when you're buying your first home. We understand the market. I have those conversations all the time. It's high, I told you that the other day. It's high, it's low. People still gonna buy homes. And I'm gonna tell you how I know, because people still build. So nobody's spending millions of dollars to completely construct complexes and homes with the intent of just holding on to it. People still gonna buy homes, but you just gotta be educated. There's still refinancing and pulling out equity of a home. These are the things that I know in our community we don't talk about a lot. Yeah, the interest is high now, but that's what the real estate market is. It's a roller coaster. It's up, it's down, it's for me, it's not. Shouldn't stop you from, being prepared and making a good decision. Paying a little extra, you'll get that back if you don't plan to live in the house and die in it. Because a lot of us buy, we rent it, we sell it, we Airbnb, whatever methods you may employ to make money. Types of credit, very important. You got 3 what I would like to call main ones. You got revolving credit. This is a line of credit that you can borrow freely from but has a cap, known as a credit limit, excuse me. And how much can be used at any given time is predicated on whatever they're approving you for. The installment credit is normally fixed loan amounts with a fixed payment schedule. This is your World Finance, Clarksville Finance, I'm naming places here. World Finance, Clarksville Finance, because I had loans at all of them. So World Finance, Clarksville Finance, Security Finance, all those places. And that's a form of installment credit. Open credit, which in relation, it was actually the same as a charge card, which some people have in their life, some don't, where it's kind of like an open limit, but you pay on what you borrow, right? And another thing while I'm on this slide, because I hear this a lot as well, because most of the time it's a person trying to convince themselves, they were like, man, this person told me to go get a loan because it'll help my credit. And so instead of just beating them up about that not being necessarily true, I just ask questions, because I feel like people learn when you ask them something, because you have no choice but to respond as if you know or you don't know. So if I say, okay, well, man, they told me to get this loan to help my credit. Oh, okay, so me as a Jatavious, I'm gonna say, so when they told you that, how did they tell you it was gonna help? Shit, they just told me, payment history. And I'm like, okay, but what happens when you pay the loan off? The payment history stops. So that's why it's very important, if possible, if you're not in a rebuilding stage, to favor the other 2 types of credit, because they never close unless you close them, fraud happens, or they feel you've been too high of a risk. I'm not going to say anything that may pertain to being negative, because you can have cards closed from always having high balances. And some of us in here probably know that. I know I do, so just be real about it. What affects how my credit score is calculated? This is very important, man. I love this slide. You see the little boy, that's some of y'all right there. You see the little boy at the bottom, and he crying, man. It's tough for him. Payment history. Man, you gotta try your best not to miss, man. I'm gonna say something in here, man, that I tell all black people I deal with, because my credit was terrible, it was bad, man. And I was willing and dealing. I'm taking from one, paying the other, telling the other one, you ain't gonna get it till I get it. So when I was living that life, I understood, one thing that I understood that saved me to get to the 800 or the great credit I got today was I'm a great communicator. I'm not gonna say F them if I ain't gonna tell it to them. That's just how I roll. I'm gonna straight up like, I mean, what do you know? No, call them and tell them that then. Call them and tell them so they know. Because right now they don't know what it is. They don't know if you died, they don't know if you ain't working. So in our community, in my opinion, we don't do enough for just communicating. I can't pay it. In our parents' generation, they had that. I know my mama didn't mind telling you ain't getting it. Don't even ask. And don't call next month. Won't have it. I'm like, damn, man, that's cold right there. But we know that practice, yeah, the communication is good, but the verbiage is wrong. So the important thing is, man, to understand what's payment history. And this actually happened to me. When I was willing and dealing with them loans, and I was communicating, I'll never forget, this guy worked in security finance, and the guy had a loan. Y'all met this white dude, he got glasses, countries, I don't know what, but his name is Jeff. Right there on Madison Street, working security finance, and that's my guy. I still go in there, so I don't have a loan with him now, but I still go in there now and just be so thankful to him. He was, and the manager's name was Kristen, I think she had dark red hair. I only talked to them when I called, listen, man, I got half of it, man, that's all I got. And he's, well, man, Jatavious, man, you've been communicating, da-da-da. And I said, you know what? And I was walking into learning credit. And I said, well, this report, man, all I ask is that y'all don't report that this is late, man. That's all I said. I'm gonna work with y'all. I'm gonna talk with you. I've been talking. I'm gonna pay my part. He said, man, I'll tell you what, man. I'm gonna talk with Kirsten, whatever her name is. That's the manager. I'm gonna see what she says. She called me. She said, you know what? I'm gonna do that because you've shown us that we can, even though you're in a tough spot, we can trust that you'll get better. Most of us don't see that part of the equation because we assume everybody's against us that, first of all, don't look like us. And I know, okay, that can be true sometimes. But we also just think that because since we're in a tough spot, everything else is gonna fall down on us. And it don't always happen that way. For me, I can say it didn't. Because all of them I was laid on and behind on. I called every last one of them. I didn't restructure or try to change the interest. Go ahead and hit me with the extra or whatever. I don't care. Just do not report this to my credit. I wouldn't be where I am today if I did not do those things. Credit-wise, I wouldn't. And I look at my report now, like, man, I know I was late about 8 months in a row. And they actually did what they said they would do, or didn't do what they said they wouldn't do. So I was so thankful for that. But that's just my nugget on communicating, man. Sometimes we talk that tough talk and we don't call them and tell them. You know, you ain't getting it at all, then call them and tell them they're not getting it at all. They may move quicker to put it on your credit, but if you know you want them to work with you, it's just a sincere conversation. Credit utilization. I tell anybody I deal with, for the most part, now I'm telling them 20%. I want it tight. If I get a $300 car, Jatavious, man, that $60 ain't nothing. Well, it's gas, that's all I can tell you. Don't go over that 60. I don't care. I wouldn't say I don't care. I tell people that when you use that minimal utilization and percentage to pay the minimum that they ask, so the $300 car that you've used $60 on, which is 20%, right? So you're like, all right, they asking me to pay $17. Okay, just pay $17. You want to pay it off because that's what, people will give the information out here about credit, watching the score. I call it seesaw. And we got stuck on that probably the last 2 years. Black people got so stuck on the seesaw. Man, they told me if I pay it off and pay double and pay triple and call my grandma and pay again, I'll get this many more points. Man, your score is right here. You used it, it's going to go right back there. It's not going to raise any. It'll get to what's called a plateau. So save the money and pay the minimum, because some of us forget these banks. And I'm speaking from personal experience. When you're saying, man, they ain't gave me no increase, man, I done asked twice. Now you done messed up anyway because you're not supposed to technically ask for once a year. So you done asked twice, they told you no. So you want to wait till next year anyway, and it's January. And you haven't been doing what they asked. We just want you to pay them, that's it. Just do what we ask. Now if you pay the extra, that's fine. I'm just saying don't get stuck on thinking because your score do this, you did something. Because when you look at your reports, it don't tell you how great you paid, it just says you were on time or not. We forget that simplistic point right there. When you look at your credit report, it just says either okay or on time. Save the money. You got a question?
Yeah.
Come on.
Is it work a little different for your credit cards? Are we just talking installment loans?
No, that's any credit. That's any credit. If you got a balance, well, like American,
so
go ahead.
Yeah, like
Good morning.
and like say you're trying to stay up under that 20% of your credit card, and if you're only paying the minimum, then you're gonna get hit with that interest. So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say this is what I'm gonna say, and this is me. I'm speaking from Jatavious, having great credit now and helping people. I can care less about interest because I'm at a spot now where my credit is good. If I'm talking to someone who's struggling, I'll mention that point.
Gotcha.
But the consensus is that it needs to, well, first of all, the interest is not going to be terrible anyway if it's under a certain percentage.
Right.
If you're running with a maxed out car, yeah, you need to be concerned about interest because you're paying the minimum, but the balance is high and your credit's lower. So I'm telling a person what discipline to have So it's easier when you get bigger lines. People sell your information, whether y'all know it or not. They openly do that. That's what soft pulls are. That's why when you got messed up credit, you're getting all these offers in the mail. And when it's great, you're getting all these offers in the mail. They already know all that. So the point is, if I'm trying to make something happen without doing extra work, I just have to follow directions. If I got the discipline already, I just got to do that. I know what I need to do, but this is what I want to do. Okay, that's a lot of our problem in our community. Just do what you know you're supposed to do. If you want to pay it off early, that's fine. I ain't saying don't. I'm just saying you could have saved that money because it don't make them no difference. You've paid on time. We like you. Here's another card. This is how you progress from secured to unsecured. And a lot of people I see do that, it seems very redundant to do it because with a secured card, you put your own money down. So the only person you're making happy that you paid it off is yourself. They made you put the money down. So, great job on paying it off early, but the only person that's really happy is you. And in most cases, if you pay it off too early, they won't give you an unsecured. Why? Because you've lost that time that you could have had. That's why I'm speaking about what I'm speaking about, even if it's not secured. Because you can only have it closed unless, fraud, you choose to close it or they feel like you're too high of a risk. And being too high of a risk isn't, like I said, missing a payment. That could just be having a running balance that's too high. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying about the percentage. Yeah, it's not 100, so you have it at 90, but you keep it at 90, pay it down to 80, use it again next month. You keep it at 90 about 6 months and watch them go ahead and decrease that limit for you. That's the hey, we told you point. Then you keep it up. Oh, we didn't decrease the limit. That ain't enough for you. We're going to go ahead and close that. So these are the things that some of us in here probably have seen. This is general information. Credit history, the age of your credit accounts, right? A lot of the problem now with the information about credit is, well, how do I build it, or what's most important when I'm building it? Hey, just get a line of credit on there. I know I may not favor certain types just personally, but if you know you don't have it right now, just get it on there. And then when you get it on there, please just do right by it. That's it, because the age starts then. For some of us that are not 18 or in our 20s or 30s that made, some probably bad decisions, we got to fix those, right? And then we got to start fresh. That's that twofold, right? Somebody comes to me that scores low, they need help, cool. Help them with most of the stuff, boom. Score's not where they want it to be. They're satisfied with the work, but it's not where they want it to be. So now we gotta focus on the second step now. Because it don't always happen that way. And looking at credit reports every day, I know there's people that they had 580 right now with all kind of bad stuff. All the bad stuff then got taken care of, and now they at a 650, right? They want to be at a 700 so bad thinking taking care of all these mistakes, but what I tell you, you can take care of the mistakes, but the people don't forget. Mix of credit accounts. This is your mortgage. This is your line of credit. This is the revolving. This is the installment. This is the credit card. This is the charge. Excuse me, let me say credit card. Revolving credit card. This is the charge card. Retail stores normally do the charge card thing. Mostly I see retail stores. I don't know who else outside of that. Some banks, not all, but mostly retail stores. New credit inquiries. I get asked all the time, how many are we supposed to have? And I know it's an unrealistic piece of information that I'm only supposed to apply 2 times, 3 times a year. But that's how they have it set up. Once you get past that point of what they have set up, now you're getting denied anyway, because you're a risk. You may need to go, how do I love that question too, because I love talking about it. Well, how do I get credit if I apply and I get denied? Well, one quick answer is secured, if you're comfortable putting your own money down because you understand what the point is, right? And then the next thing is, well, let's be smart and either Google or reach out to who does pre-approvals. Most people forget that simple step to check for pre-approval, or banks or cards that do pre-approvals before they just go and apply and it hits your credit. The pre-approval normally will not check it, but it'll let you know if you will get approved. So it's just those subtle steps, like those inquiries can kill you. I've seen people I had a young brother that had a 700, but he had 200 inquiries. And I knew before I looked, most of those was probably him trying to get a vehicle, because we know they shop your credit around to get you the best interest, when I already explained to y'all that's not what that's about. We're going to get you the best interest because we want to put our extra on top. And so if you actually pay attention to the offer that they slide to you on the table to sign for the auto loan, not only are they getting the extra out of the pocket for the down payment, the interest, by law they can't do both. But we don't know that. We just need the car. You can Google that. We don't know that it can't do both. We just need the car. But because you signed, and there's no crime against not educating someone, especially if they don't look like you. So that's the truth about the truth. But I had to put that picture up there, man. That's how I felt when mine was bad. Payment history. Excuse me. Your payment history accounts for 35% of your score. This is the biggest, damn near. Payment history is everything. I missed the payment. And then you take a look at my credit real quick, it dropped 75 points. Ooh, and I already know what happened now. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't tell me that, I'm going to assume that only because what else would drop it that much? Even a big collection would. But most people didn't even, when I first was dealing with credit, they didn't even understand that. Like, man, I thought I had a collection. Like, no, late payments can kill you, so in most cases, more than a collection. Especially if you've had a pretty good history and the collection account we're talking about doesn't have a significant balance. I've seen late payments drop somebody's score 100 points before. So it's important, and that's predicated too on the age, how long you've had it. You did good 2 months, now you boom, now that's what I call a dead account. We got to get that up off of there. We got to get rid of it because now you're even more of a risk to the banks, not just because you missed, but because you missed so early. And then we have what's called first payment default. Some of y'all heard that, some of you haven't. That's when you're wheeling and dealing out here. Like how I said I was doing, you get something, no, you ain't gonna pay them no way. So the first payment you miss, it's a wrap. That's what gets the sheriff at your house really quick. How often you miss payments, how many days past due, the date you pay your bills, and how recently you have missed. Payments made over 30 days later will typically be reported by your lender and hurt your credit scores. That was that conversation I was having when I was way beyond 30 with those loan folks I was dealing with. Because it's at their discretion. The bureaus are for profit. One of the reasons they're for profit is because they're only going to furnish, report, or whatever's given to them. I love going back and forth and dealing with them. I love it because for them it's like how we're all sitting in here, that's you the person that's responding to that letter. And most of the time it's electronic, they just hit a button. So they don't care either way, they for profit, but whoever is furnishing and explaining and saying, hey, I need this put on there, you gotta look at the creditor first. They're just giving you the data that's given to them. In most cases, we know what that is. Amount owed, how much you owe on loans and credit cards makes up 30% of your score. This is based on the entire amount you owe, number and types of accounts you have, and proportion of money owed compared to how much credit you have available. That's that utilization thing, right? And balance thing, right? So if you're not good at math, then you pull your calculator out when you get that approval. If you are, then you already know when you get it, right? 5,000, I got 1,000 to use. And I get it, man, like with those small first premier credit ones, it's hard. 200, I can't use but 40. Man, what's more important? Having better credit or using what you want to use? I can't give it to you no other way. What's more important? You gotta go, this is what you gotta do to get to it. And yeah, it'll take time for those especially that made mistakes, but if you didn't, you'll get there quicker. High balances and maxed out credit cards will lower your credit score, but smaller balances can raise it if you pay on time. Small, i.e. and or no balance, right? So we got that conversation that comes up about, you know, I hear so much, like they said, well, they told me, man, if I don't use it, they're gonna close it. Well, that's partially true. Because now it's determined by, well, how long did you not use it? There's nothing wrong with having, hell, I don't use most of mine, but that's because I want to see my score at the strongest. But I'm gonna tell you something else I do. I might call them, hey, listen, hey man, I know it's been 6 months, don't close that card on me now. You know what I mean? It's just, that's communication. Because they don't know. When you get frauded or your identity stolen and things of that nature, and they can create profiles that you can't see, that's why they do that. It could be someone sitting here now that's having their identity used, and in most cases, everything is only 99% as far as checking for that. So you don't know. You don't know if somebody is or isn't. You can just try your best to monitor. But the important piece is not to think, well, since they said don't leave it at 0, I'm gonna max it out. And that, no. Use and utilize, right? Stay at that 20, 25 at the most. That's all you gotta do. When you get to that point of that percentage, just do what they ask. But keeping it at 0, it's really determined by how long you do that. There's nothing wrong with utilizing the card, paying it off, and letting it sit. Nothing wrong with that. Now they will close for inactivity, and it'll say that on your report, and they'll send a letter saying that. But most cases, the inactivity is longer periods of time. You've had the card, it's been a year, you didn't use it. It's been a year and a half. They get skeptical, right? And I mean, that's common sense, right? You got the card, you're not using it, you're a risk now. And that's like I said, the risk isn't just negative stuff. They think you're a risk now. Oh, well, we gave you this money, you didn't use it, we just want to take it back, man. We got somebody else that can use it more. Length of your credit history. The length of your credit history accounts for 15% of your score. The longer your history of making timely payments, the higher your score will be. Credit scoring models generally look at the average of your credit when factoring in credit history. So the installment accounts, which we know you lose, just carry it out all the way. If you pay it off early, it's fine because you only have one benefit from installment accounts, and that's payment history. That's why when it's brought to me, I just ask. If you can't give me at least two things that are a benefit of it, then it's not that it's not benefiting you, it's just not as much. So an installment account, I get payment history. Yeah, but with a credit card, you get that. With the credit card, the limit increases. You understand what I'm saying? Those are at least two positive benefits because it'll never close, again, unless I close it or there's something negative that happens. Account mix. The types of accounts you have make up 10% of your score. Having a mix of accounts including installment loans, home loans, retail cards may help improve your score. New inquiries, recent credit activity makes up the final 10%. So we understand that inquiries, just I'm applying. But like I said, once they lock you up, it's hard to get unlocked unless you know someone that repairs, i.e. me, or you choose to do it yourself, whichever way. Get some of those inquiries removed if that's your only issue. If you've opened a lot of accounts recently or applied to open accounts, it may suggest potential financial struggle and may lower your score. This is a person that has great credit that just opened up 8 cards. To them, that's still risky, right? Even with the great score. So we're gonna go ahead, the next time you apply, we ain't rocking with you. So I'll explain the trick, right? If you know someone or you deal with someone that understands how to remove inquiries before the accounts report, then you just go do the same thing again. And I'll talk about that a little bit later in business credit. But that's the trick out here. I got 10 cards. If I know somebody can remove inquiries, I'll just remove those 10 inquiries and go get 10 more cards. That's, this is what I don't want to call them the others, but the people that don't look like you do. This is how they're able to, when someone says, hey, I'm gonna get you 40,000 in credit. You're thinking in your head, I'm about to get a card or something, along with something. No, I'm just gonna do 15 cards. And then they understand credit repair. They're gonna remove the inquiries and do 15 more. And then they remove, which I'm not against. That I actually do it. I help do it, but I'm just saying, we as people, we normally just hear something and we think what we think. Everybody does the same thing if you know they know it. So that's an important piece. And if you're looking to build, then that's what you do. That's the other answer I give to a person outside of security, but I'm gonna lead with that because that's general information you can Google. What I'm talking about, you can't Google that. Because the person that knows how to do it just does it. They either market it for themselves to get money, but they're not gonna publish it. You understand what I'm saying? Because most of the time we know the trick, we're gonna stop the trick. That's how that works with the bureau. The types of herd. Reporting errors, late payment history, misspelled names, incorrect addresses. I don't spend a lot of time on those in my business, but I do understand those things are important when disputing. If you notice them, you want to take care of them. Go to whoever necessary or do it yourself. Parking tickets, man, listen. Man, I know who we are as a people, man. I ain't paying, they get it when they get it. You know what I'm saying? And they done, all right, you ain't pay, it's okay. That one's even worse because that's straight county. We already got you. We know you owe us. Sad case, man. I had somebody about to close on a home. Man, that almost made me cry on the phone. They about to close on a home. They got 4 parking tickets, about $1,200. They done spent every dime they got. Literally, and it was an underwriter mistake probably when I say this, now that I'm thinking of it. They done spent all the money they had for their down payment. They get to the last step, damn near about the signing day, and they can't sign. Underwriter made a mistake. I'm thinking they made a mistake. They probably said it to them too, to find it. We made a mistake. You owe the county for four different notations. So I'm like, okay, I've dealt with y'all on y'all credits. We ain't got none of that going on over here. Y'all need to go to the courthouse. Yeah, that's what they told us to take care of. I said, okay, I know I'm right. I know if I don't see it, then the only other option. She was like, yeah, we just don't know what to do. I said, well, you ain't got no choice. You about to sign. If you don't pay them folks, you ain't getting this house. You understand what I'm saying? And I knew where they were type-wise, because once you get to that, we about to sign, you can pull every penny you have to for that down payment. You know they're gonna beg you for it. If you bought a house, you know this. They're gonna beg you for it. This is boom, we ready to sign tomorrow. And then it's like, you find that, and I really hated that situation because I don't do it within my company. Nobody does a repairs credit. There's no way for me to know what you've done publicly, but I'm going to ask, and most people I've dealt with, man, you see on your credit? No, man, you have any, sheriff come by, got any letters, anything, know anything about the city? No, I don't know nothing. And then, you get to that process and it happens like that, and it's tough. Same thing with utility bills, man. I'm gonna keep saying that, like, the smart ones, when I say smart ones, the ones that want to screw you from the game. They ain't gonna waste your time. They want to screw you up. They gonna send everything to the county. Everything, public record. Utility bill, you ain't pay a water bill, you got mad, they charge you for this, charge you for that. They ain't put on your credit. Oh, cool, you think you good? I got skated on them, broke the lease, I'm good. You about to try to go rent. And man, and I get these calls every day, man, they telling me it's something on my credit, man. I'm like, nah, bro, I can pull your report. And the person it's funny, someone just called me Thursday. And he wasn't arguing, but he was saying, but the lady, I guess, was trying, and I'm on the phone like, I'm looking at your report. You don't owe this person as it pertains to your credit report, but I'll tell you what, go down to the courthouse and see if you have any liabilities. So he said, man, I'm gonna listen to you, And the lady kept saying TransUnion got it. And I said, bro, no, there's no secrecy behind your report. You go to anything, they all will show the same thing as it pertains to the scoring you're looking at. I'm looking at your FICO. It wouldn't even be any different on Credit Karma. You just got to find where it's at. So I'm like, look, go to the county. He went to the county. Yeah, I owed them, but they told me it's a zero balance. And then before you get happy and say I got a zero balance, take it back to that lady. You didn't make sure you get a receipt or some type of documentation for that. You dealing like them. They're not just gonna take what you say. You got to show them what they said. So when it struck, boom, Friday, he called, man, I just got the new townhouse all the time to tell me, appreciate it, man. I didn't even do anything. I just educated them. You got to go down there and take care of that. And if you already took care of it, the reason that they're pulling it is because when you go to apply for an apartment, house, or whatever, they're not pulling just your credit. I get that call every day, even from people I help. They said this is on there. I'm not lying to you. Like, I can show you it's not, but they're running what's called LexisNexis and CoreLogic. That's what those two are called. LexisNexis and CoreLogic, and they house your public information. These are the people that might have had it on your credit, and it vanished. You thinking you good, you done skated. They done send it to the courthouse. Sometimes they just send it to the courthouse without putting it on the credit. Those are the people that want to get you out the gate. So it's important to know there's only two ways to make sure you're really, really good. Watching your credit, and whatever county you in, knowing that you can go to the courthouse and see who you owe. Medical bills, we've all been there. Yeah, they got the HIPAA thing, and that people talk about as a trick for removing the debts. I've dealt with credit repair long enough to tell you all tricks don't work. Some people are more stubborn. Some know the trick more, some don't. I'm not gonna say it's flip-floppy, but I'm saying if you're dealing with someone that helps with credit, it's their diligence. How determined they are is what's going to determine how your results are. Everybody does the same trick, just this person does it a different way. Delinquent child support, man, most of the time I see that with brothers. Tough conversation to have. Most of them let them tell you they don't owe nothing. I leave that conversation alone. Paying off a loan, paying early. That hurt isn't like a damn, but when it's an installment, it's set. One man then gave you 10 grand for 3 years. And you just pay that loan off, score drop. Well, there's two reasons. It closed. And then what was the term on that? And three years, bro, you ain't had it but 2 months. So they look at it like, well, what did you need the money for? If you got it back that quick to us, what did you need it for? And I know that for a lot of people, that's logical thinking, but it's like, why does it matter to think that? Yeah, but you're asking for something. And if you say you're in need to them, you got to show us you're in need. And you didn't do what we asked. You just need 3 years, pay that minimum whatever. So that's the dropping of the score won't probably be too significant as it pertains to the credit history they have and the amount of the loan. Closing a credit card, which is what? Stopping possible history. I don't know why you would. Some of us don't like the bank, they don't like the rep we get when we call. You got to keep in mind what the goal is, whatever your personal goal is. And these things, that right there, out of all things, like it never will stop unless you stop it or something happens. So if you just call deliberately, for whatever reason, and I've had people tell me that in the process of buying a home, they told me to close the car. I mean, we talked about that the other day. Like, it's so important to deal with people that are educated, man, when it comes to buying a home. We're gonna talk about that too, but buying a home, man, I've heard so much, and I'm not here to be the end all be all. Like, it sounds silly though. Like, they told me to close it, so they ain't tell you to pay it off. So you close it. Yeah, okay. What they said was gonna happen. I like being inquisitive. That's how we learn. Like, I learned that way. Like, what they say? They said, my DTI will be better. Oh, so they still didn't tell you pay it down, pay it off. No, they told me to go ahead and close. Okay, cool. So in the next week or two, I hear from them about them not being able to buy a house. So it's kind of like, all right, let me get locked in with them. And I'm not a mortgage lender or a real estate agent, but I bought a house and I've helped people buy homes, so I know exactly how that works. Not paying your taxes, man. Listen, federal. That's a federal debt, man. It's like child support, man. You know, when you talk about liens and I'm coming to levy, you get that letter. We're not worried about the little stuff. Requesting a credit limit increase too often. In most cases, the bureaus don't want to see really more than one, 2 at the max. I know, it's 365 days. You're telling me I can't ask for twice for the increase. You can ask me anytime you want. But probably after that second time, it's a no-go. But the way you trigger that, here's the nugget on that. The 20% I was talking about in paying the minimum, I personally, in my life, I'm not any different than anyone in here who may have good or bad credit. I never ask for increases, but I get them because I do exactly what I'm telling you. I don't pay it off early. I don't double up. I don't do this on a statement date. I use it and I pay the minimum. I keep it under the percent, I pay the minimum. And some people, I didn't know, some people don't believe that that happens. They think you got to ask for the increase. That's not true. That's not true. That's what soft pulls are about. That's that getting the letter about a pre-approval and you like, damn man, how do they know? Oh man, I don't get that. How do they know what my credit is? Well, it's only working 2 ways. When you really, really messed up, they're gonna send you everything because they want to keep you there. And when you're doing really good because they know you're able to. When you're in the middle, you get some, right? If you're lucky. But normally, and I'm speaking from experience, my credit was terrible. You know how you keep taking stuff out because you're trying to pay the next person. Excuse me. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth. These are the myths, or some of the most common myths that I hear about. Debit and prepaid cards can help you build and rebuild your credit. I'm still kind of lost on that. Debit, and when we hear debit, we know that means the bank's involved, right? And again, I'm not sure because that's only directly correlated to the money you keep there. Keeping money in a bank does absolutely nothing for your credit. Prepaid cards is prepaid. That kind of speaks for itself. There's no bank, there's no individual bank that you have dealt with correlated to that. You may have a bank that you deal with because of the card, and these may not be national banks. These are the green dots. These are the, look, I'm not that guy that beats up the chime and the cash out. I don't care who you bank with. I'm just able to explain, this bank's gonna have limitations. This bank's gonna have none. This bank's gonna have more. Only having one credit card. I've heard that a lot too. They told me I only need to have one credit card. Mortgage lenders tell them that. Hell, even some real estate agents. And then whoever they're willing to listen to, they'll say just have one credit card. And for whatever reason, that's the thing. People will believe it. Only open credit cards once you've closed another. Those last 2 deal with just building history. So we're able to understand when we hear that there's some better logic tied to that. Late payments don't negatively affect you. Well, we know that's untrue. And in most cases, like I said earlier, will drop your score more than collection. Keeping a balance on your credit card help your score. Yeah, it does if it's under 20%. Now, for the person that keeps it maxed out, that's what they believe. They told me it's good for me to keep the balance. Like, yeah, when they close their car, why don't you come back and talk to me about how we could have budgeted better and kept it under that percent. I know that 20 or 25 seems unrealistic for a smaller balance card. But what happens when you get that $40,000 card? If you didn't have the discipline, you taking that 40 and you taking 35 out the gate. You went and got a car. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have that 20%, okay, just 8,000. And you shouldn't be in my opinion, I don't know how y'all live, like what the hell you gotta do, what you doing with 35? Like, that 40 can become 80 over time if you just do what you're supposed to. It's just discipline. There's no, coming from Jatavious, there's no real secret to that. It's just discipline. That's it. Like, you trigger those things just off having discipline. And if you get to that point where you're like, man, it's been about 2-3 years, they give no increase, then you can make that call. Notice I said call because you can apply for an increase several ways. Well, most times 2 ways. Through the app or digital, or you call. And I can teach every person in here how you can call and make that. I've experimented with my own credit. So I know I'm not just great at fixing it because that's what I do. I'm the lab rat. I've been my own lab rat. So I know when you call, you're going to have more success because you're talking to a person. And it's not like the computer's any different. I understand it's going to be more, in most cases, more efficient or whatever, but when you're talking to a person, That's how it works. That goes right back to the communication. And when I choose to, if I choose to ask for them, I always call. That's just me. I get bubbly, you know. I'm pretty sure I sound like I get bubbly on the phone, talk to them, hey, how's it going? Yeah, just trying to increase my limit a little bit. You know, got a purchase coming up. So, and they sitting there happy, and in most cases, man, they go, you know, that's what they do in there. It's not like what we think, like they're behind a computer wishing we fail. You know, it's the person next to them, I'll put you on hold real quick. They're talking about what you think. Yeah, I've been on hold before, and they forgot to mute it, and I heard that. So these are things that I'm talking about through experience. Keeping a balance on your credit cards helps your score. Credit card interests stay the same. That's not true. And I've seen in my own personal case, sometimes they might not even tell you, but if you're set up with non-paper or something, that would explain some of it. But in another case, I've never heard a lot of people say through the mail that happened to them. That's very important, man, and I will always lean on that understanding. We as a people do not, it seems, don't care about interest rates, man. Do not care about interest rates, and that's very, very important. The Acadia that I got, right, 4%, that was my pre-approval amount. And typically what you see is with a business auto loan, the interest is always going to be higher than a personal because of the risk, right? A business is created by a person. Nothing trumps an individual or human being, okay? So obviously they were upset with the 4 because I got over 700. I'm coming in. You're not going to hit me with no 8%. Like, what that look like? So in my eyes, I want to be where they are, right? We know who the they is. I don't have to say that. So when they're getting that 2 or 3%, I'm like, man, I'm just trying to push to get to that. I don't want to be them. I just want to get to that level, right? So when I got that 4, I'm like, okay, all right, we out here. And so I bring it to them, and they know it's business. They can't change it, so they're already upset. But they want to stick another 5 on top. Now let's do the math. Okay, so now I'm near 10%, right? And I'm 40,000 in the hole, right? And I pay the minimum all year. We know that the minimum payment that you pay, or that they call the minimum payment, if your interest is higher, that money don't even go toward the balance. This is how a 6-year auto loan turns into a 12-year. And they ain't gonna stop you, you know, we're gonna ride it on out. So now, if we continue to do the math, I done paid $100K for a $40K. And we all can easily do the math to say, well, I bought one vehicle, but really I turned around and bought 2 more in one loan. So this is just about being smart and saving the money. You don't like the interest. And then here's another thing, most dealerships have what's called special financing. You may have to ask. Some of them mark it on the window when you drive by. It says special, and we don't know. We just think that means the person's special, and they are in a sense because of their credit score. So I had bought a vehicle and I got special finance. Okay, sir, you can do Mr. Jackson. You do 0 point whatever, or you do the 3. But if you do the 0 point whatever, you got to put this down. That's their way of we gonna get you on the back end. You understand what I'm saying? I could have took the 3 with nothing down, and I like the 3 with the 0 point whatever. Sounded great. But why am I putting money down because of the special financing on the interest when the credit already approved me for no money down anyway? So I already knew I was okay with getting screwed at that point because I knew the interest was better. But this is what happens, and it's called special financing. You qualify for special financing, and so for them, man, that means you got better credit. We can't get you, but we got to give you these options to see if we can get you through the options. And if you're not educated, and I was at the time, I just didn't care. Checking your credit lowers your score. I get asked that by specifically the younger generation. So there's a difference between a soft pull and a hard pull, right? Or a soft inquiry and a hard inquiry. Soft inquiries they're happening right now to all of us while we're sitting here. Our information is being sold while we're sitting here. There's no way to stop that. You can't contest, protest, you do whatever you want because you don't control that. Checking your score, that's a soft pull. When you apply for credit, no matter what form, that's a hard pull. And there's people out there that allow you to apply that way and will tell you it's not going to hurt your score. And it's not that, well, first of all, it's not true. And the hurt isn't it may not be a major thing, but some people will call me too because, and this is another reason why people think Credit Karma is inaccurate. They'll apply for a place and they'll see their score drop 20 points and they'll say, man, that inquiry dropped my score 20 points. I'm like, no, an inquiry will never do that. But Credit Karma, if you want to call this inaccurate, you can't. I don't because it's not inaccurate, it's just late. You did something prior to, but it updates that same, like the update comes one time, even though it's every day at Credit Karma, but it's 2 or 3 weeks behind a FICO scoring model. That's what it was. An inquiry can't drop your score like that unless you're getting shopped around for an auto loan. Because they're sending it to 12, 15, 20 banks. So yeah, you can do an inquiry with one auto dealership and they do 30 banks. But just a credit card is not going to do that, because most credit cards, if you're dealing with like Capital One, they finance themselves. They finance themselves. You get the Capital One card from Capital One. You get the First Premier card from First Premier Bank. And then if you're at your bank, you understand that right there, it's in your face. Increasing credit limit hurts your score. It definitely doesn't. Helps the score. I just wouldn't fall in love with trying to get the increases. What's a good credit score? According to the FICO credit score model, credit scores fall into 5 distinct categories, right? This right here is going to let you know where you at right now while you sit right here. You know, because some of us, we good at 605. We good. Poor credit, 300 to 579. This is according to FICO, not just tell you. Fair credit, 580 to 669. Good credit, 670 to 739. Very good credit, 740 to 799. Excellent credit, 800 to 850. Okay, 800 to 850, man. And I was so happy for that young lady, and that was years ago, and she was a little younger than me. I was jealous too, like, shit, what's that, 850? How you, hold on now. And you asked me, like, can you look at my stuff? You trying to stunt. You know what I'm saying? You got an 850, talking about look at my stuff. Come on, man, you know when you got an 850. It's a lot of work to get there. I can only speak for me, just coming from a very terrible, I was poor, right? And did what was necessary, did the research, the due diligence. But I will say it's not hard to get to that excellence. Some of the things I've mentioned, that if you just follow that, you'll get there. There's no real trick outside of, you know, a little finesse needing to happen unless you're trying to do something. I'm trying to get my score up real quick, so I'm trying to get approved for this. That's what trade lines are for. And I have 2 websites for those, and we'll get to that. That's a different conversation. But take a look at that, man. Let it resonate for where you are, where you want to be, and figuring out what you're going to do to get there. Benefits of good credit. You get easier credit approvals. We know that. That's what the soft pulls are about. That's what your information gets sold about. We know you are. We're about to send you something, see how you're doing. Lower interest rates, right? That comes via negotiation if needed, right? That's kind of the experience I was talking about with me. I don't like that. We're going to get that back to you. Okay, well, we want you to take something off our line. Okay, give me something I don't like then. Okay? Better loan terms. We're talking longer terms with a better interest instead of ugly interest up front. Easier leveraging opportunities. The negotiation is also a leveraging tactic. I know y'all need me to take something off this lot because y'all finance y'allself, and my credit's good enough for me to get financing through the dealership right there. Y'all ain't got to shop me around or nothing. Y'all love it, I love it, cool, one inquiry. So y'all gonna do whatever it takes to get me, because you know you'll lose that business. And most of us sitting in here, well, I know now, did not know that when they shop us like that, the interest comes back, I don't want to say double, but Forterra approved you because you went to James Corlew. So Forterra got their interest. You won't see none of this stuff. I'm just telling you facts. Forterra got an interest that they giving you. Dealership get it back. They putting whatever they putting on top. Then they bring it to you. You don't see that, but now you can at least. This is why some people say, hey, is this smart to go ahead and get pre-approved and then go to a dealership? Absolutely. Now you're gonna run into that, I don't like you, man, you can't screw you. That's all that's about. If you get pre-approved and you go to whatever dealership, outside of the example I gave, because I went to a business that had preferred lots. Outside of that, they hate it because they can't do nothing with that. They'll even sometimes tell you gotta put something down. That's the funniest thing I heard. Man, how I get approved with another bank? No money down. I'm bringing to you, you tell me I gotta put something down. Stop it. So these are the things that you just, a little twist and turn right there. How do you maintain good credit? Pay every bill on time. Every time. If you can't, have that conversation. Talk to somebody, call. Keep your credit utilization ratio low and avoid using more than 30% of government credit. I used to rock with the 30. I like to put that responsibility on my people, though. Let's do 20. That's what they do. I know who's in front of me. My only goal is to keep up with who's in front of me. And if they run it, I can't be walking. So they on 25, we on 20. As soon as they go to switch it up and they go to 15, we go to 10. And I know it's redundant for those small limited cars, but again, what's more important to you? What you want or where you want to be. Don't close old credit accounts. Instead, use your old credit cards as proof of a long and responsible credit history. Outside of that, Trade line that old credit card. Even though you may not use it, but you've always done good, you make money off that. We're gonna discuss that. I'm gonna show y'all how to get into all of that. Some of that stuff will sound like Spanish, but this is stuff I know, do, and learn that the people in front of us are doing. It's just that simple. Also, observe the diversity of your credit accounts to hold yourself accountable for the types you do not have. We know we want that house. And some of us, that's the last little piece of credit that I gotta get. No, you just want the house, and I totally respect that. The credit card, the loans and all that, we're gonna get all that. That home, it's something about that home for us. And then for us also going house poor, becoming house poor, buying that home. There's tricks even throughout the mortgage process, and I'll say that now, and I also have a slide, like, it's the same way all times when you're talking about pre-approval. You go to your bank that you bank with, they're gonna give you a better deal. You reach out to a lender, they're gonna put their cut on top, which ain't nothing wrong with that, that's business. But if you're looking for the best rate, where I pay the least amount of money, you're gonna go with the person that knows who you are already. That's just a part of that. Go ahead,
Another question. When it comes to the credit utilization, and you saying stick to 30%, preferably 20%.
Mm-hmm.
How much does that utilization, I guess, weigh on your credit score? Is it a lot?
Yeah, 20 to 30. 20 to 30, so it's like, the reason I say that too, because I had to slightly give a specific percentage, it's also based off how many lines and open lines of credit you got. So if I got 5 cards, that's 1,000, I might use one 100%. 1,000 out of 1,000. I don't use the others. Now it's 1,000 out of 5,000. So a totality thing. You understand what I'm saying? You get 20%, that's why I made that example. I mean, you know I'm a numbers guy. So you still at 20% overall, but you're 100% for that one card, which would be risky to that one bank, unless all those cards are with the same bank. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So it's just math. It's just math. Like, if you got one card though, then now it's a situation. You got 100%, you're risky. So it's always gonna be predicated on how much credit you have. Always. You do the individual 20%, it's gonna average out the same anyway, but if you understand, well, this card is what I use for cash back, this one's what I use for, I do construction. I totally understand. I'm not telling a person that if they don't do 20, they're screwed. I'm saying if you have that discipline already, you'll understand what's important when it's time to pay it.
So you're basically saying, let's say I got a $1,000 limit. Let's just go ahead and write that card as 200.
For sure, out the gate, because if you, especially if it's your only line. If that's your only line of credit, your only credit card, I'm out the gate like that.
Right.
I'm out the gate like that. And then being out the gate like that keeps you disciplined. Dealing with it that way allows the bank to see you understand. That information ain't, I don't know what, I ain't gonna put the source up there, but that ain't something that I just felt was great. That's what it is. Anytime you go past that 30, all of us got Credit Karma soon. When that thing is green, you get past about 30, 40, it get yellow. You get past about 75, it get red. That's why it's like that. You go right on your Credit Karma and see that. Anytime there's a particular category that's not satisfactory or really needing help, it's yellow or red. Yellow or red. And so that's just me knowing the information and knowing it's there, but making it where the people can get it and understand it.
So your limit ain't your limit.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's potentially. Potentially, it could be your limit.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but you gotta. Credit worthiness is about proving yourself. I give you 1,000. That don't mean you gotta spend the whole. You don't have to. You don't have to, because if I knew I had $1,000, I have to buy $1,000 worth of something. I'm gonna ask for 2, 5. But what if I can't? So it's still on the person giving it to you. This is all I'm gonna give you. This is what you are approved for. So it's up to you to do what you're supposed to. It can be tough. Like I said, it's a redundant thing, but this is how it is.
So I actually pay for FICO,
Uh-huh.
and they have I get confused sometimes because the score, it fluctuates up and down even for crazy reasons. Something could get added
Right.
or updated,
Mhm.
and it'll drop my score like a couple of points. But is that always gonna happen to does it just balance out? I never understood why.
Yeah, well, if you're asking, like, will it be times that it'll be a week or two, nothing happens? Like, just, my score's not always fluctuating?
And so it's like reporting all the time anyway too. So when I have like notifications turned on, so anytime anything happens, it's notifying me. oh, your account has been updated or something in the, something been reported.
Yeah.
It fluctuates even if nothing happened, like, there's
Well,
nothing going
well,
on.
the thing, and not to cut you off, the thing to remember is the fluctuation in the, there's a difference between a notification that's on time that doesn't do anything to my score, and then something I did that I have to remember that made
An
affect the
actual
score.
action. And then
The
just
activity, the activity of the individual determines that. If I don't use none of my cards, my score won't move. If I use some, and I know the next 30 days to 45, but I gotta keep that in my mind when I see the notification. Yeah, that's all it is. Like, I don't use my cards a lot, so I don't see a lot of movement.
Yeah.
But when I do, I know, okay, it's gonna drop by next 30 days, 45 days.
Yeah.
And then if I paid it off by then the next update will be ready.
That's probably what me, where I got to keep some of the stuff on my mind. I'm like, dang, I forgot.
Yeah, well, I make a note. We all pay good money for these iPhones. I make notes when I buy something.
Yeah.
And I keep everything linked to the email, digital. I don't want nothing paper because I know I'll
I'm
use
working
that.
on it.
Yeah, question.
Oh, I would just go on, piggyback off what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more so that 20% for the people that might not know is that 20% for you to, if you're looking to get a higher
For sure.
credit score. So if your credit score is already
Exactly.
decent, then I don't think that 20% really comes to play. I know a lot of people are like, dang, just 20%. I think it's more so speaking on, all right, I'm at a 640. How am I supposed to get to this 775? Keep that 20%. Now that's, you got that $1,000 limit, of course you can utilize it, but just know your score is gonna be stacked.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's where the whole 20% is lying down. If you're trying to get that score to jump like it's supposed to.
So is it not dropping it if you go?
Well, if you go past, that's why
It's
the
like-
30 is said. Like, and again, on Credit Karma, it'll change.
Yeah.
Because this is universal.
Yeah, because they definitely flagged me.
All
about
credit,
the
all bank,
organization.
anytime you go over
They
a
do
certain,
crazy.
every time you go over, that's why Credit Karma do what they do. That's why Experian, you could use it, and if it go to 56% use it, it'll send that notification.
Yeah.
Hold on now, you moderate risk now. You're not low risk
My
no
goal
more.
is worse than Credit Karma.
And that's, and what bro is saying is absolutely, because and I'm speaking from a, we all need help perspective too. I'm not saying do that because, not only because that's what needs to happen, it's the discipline part. You get excited when you get them pre-approvals. You didn't ask for this, but it came, 15K, ooh. I need to go shopping, you know what I'm saying? So you already tapped in, 20%. It automatically is gonna keep your score where, I don't wanna say keep it, it'll keep you in a place where you don't have to ask, what do I need to do? Because if somebody comes to me and they got all their cards maxed out, they got charge-offs and collections, they got a bunch of misspelled names and old addresses, I'm able to detail that from seeing the report. Ain't nothing better than saying, and the people that don't need that physical, like that actual help from me, I turn them away. Hey, you just need to pay your cards down. So now if you get that discipline through me educating you, you know, well shit, if the only problem was me and how I use my cards, I'll be at my best if I just follow that. And the day that I want more points, I'll just pay down even more on the 20. You see what I'm saying? Like, I just want to develop the discipline for you. If you don't have it, then it's like, all right, let me explain. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. And that's why I don't say, anytime I'm talking about something, it's from a negative perspective, because I've had plenty of people that came and they didn't need my help. They just needed some education, the actual preparing part. Just, hey man, keep that up, man. Damn, 20%, bro, for real. You asked me what can you do to get to this score. I looked, you ain't got nothing negative account-wise. Man, that card at 80, that one at 40, okay, that balance out to about 40, hey man, get that down. Or I tell you what, that one that you got at 80, I know what you can't back, whatever, man, try to do just 60, or take the steps necessary. Because those two are your only two, but I can tell you out the gate, like some people, like mortgage lenders will tell you just pay it off. Like, damn, I'm already bringing 30K to close, I gotta pay 15 on these cards. You see what I'm saying? And that's where trade lines come in to help. But it's also, if you didn't have that discipline already, now you at a spot where I'm supposed to sign at this time. I got this house, but I can't afford to bring 30 to close and another 15 to pay these cards off. If you got that discipline, you already understand it. When I go to buy a home, what I tell you, pay everything off. Not off in the terms of closing it, but if you want to be at your best to qualify whatever program this mortgage lender has, that's what I do when I bought my house. I pay every card off, boom. I'm at my strongest. So when I sit down with the mortgage lender, the conversation is very black and white. Oh yeah, you qualify. Okay, this is what you gotta bring to closing. All right. Most black people that get into that, I want to buy a house, not only do they not have the credit education, they're not prepared financially. They may have the money, but they don't know what's required. They just think I got the down payment right now. You don't even know what type of home you want. How do you know what the down payment will be? You don't know if you're doing FHA or residential. You don't know. You might do 3%. You might do down payment assistance. You might. It's a lot of conversations that have to be had before you just jump into, I think I'm ready, and you don't even know the difference between the bureaus. These are the things I can't. Some people don't want to buy a house, don't even know it's called TransUnion. They call it something else. So you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to belittle their desire, but I'm like, you gotta, the people you sitting down with, they know this stuff. So you gotta know it. They know it already. They looking at you. So you gotta come prepared. But I got a whole little niche on the real estate thing. Conclusion. Your credit score is one number that can cost or save you a lot of money in your lifetime. Leveraging your credit allows you to enjoy not paying higher deposits or coming out of your pocket. The last piece is everything, man, like pre-approvals, no money down. If that's not the terminology that I'm dealing with, I don't even want to deal with them. I'm aware of what the score is. I know what the report look like. You can't explain it to me no other way. I don't care what bureau you thought. I know where I'm at in life. And anybody, all of you can be there. Like, and if you're not already, like, I know where I'm at. I know what I'm looking like. Because if not, I'm just gonna slide you something that's gonna have my little extra on top, and you don't know to slide it back. So don't accept, you know what I'm saying? Don't accept just whatever. Don't accept whatever. If you worked hard to get to that point, you gotta be able to know. I'm just going here, you know, well, I got special finance, anything like that. Well, we'll see what we can do. All right, we'll holler at the supervisor. These are the things that you're able to do, and at worst, you get a no, or they're gonna look at you crazy. Fat Daddy, who got questions on that segment?
I got one.
Let me get my man. What's going on, good brother?
Hey, so on the credit card part, you got $300
Mm-hmm.
with the card, you spend 20. When you pay it off, as soon as you spend it. Say for instance, use your gas, pay it off as soon as you get the gas, or wait till you.
Nope, I'm waiting on it. Well, me personally, I'm gonna say that. I reference me personally. I'm waiting for this. Like, I'm just following directions. I'm gonna wait on the statement. I'm gonna wait on the due date. I'm gonna auto pay. I'm gonna leave it alone. See, and that's why I say a percentage, because check this out. If I say 20% of 300, you went and got gas, that was 25. If you discipline, you know I got 35 more. It's 20% of 360. So I'm not gonna tell a person how to pay it. You know, that's why I say earlier, I'm not gonna, some people get into the seesaw to score, because it's gonna plateau. If this was the only card you had anyway, it don't matter how you pay, it's not gonna go past a 615. Why waste your money? You know, if you're disciplined and educated, I gotta get another card to raise the score. I gotta keep this at 20 or less, or even 0 to raise the score. These are the things necessary if you're saying my goal is to get a higher score. That's why when bro was saying, why I'm talking about the percentage, it's because it leaves room for you to say, well, I can easily pay off, if I'm at the mortgage table, this $5,000 card is only over $1,000, but if I had it maxed out at $4,900, they're gonna tell me to pay it all the way off. They know enough of the credit, but they're not gonna explain it that way. Oh, you just pay that off, your DTI will be good. So that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna just wait on the statement. I'm gonna auto pay. I know in my head, once I hit that 20% mark in my head, that's all I'm rocking with. Unless it's an emergency. I'm not saying don't, I'm just saying emergency or whatever, but I'm saying get back to that discipline point. Because if you don't, you'll let yourself slip. We all done it, man. Like 4, 5 cars, they all maxed out. They all maxed out. If you don't understand how it works, then it's like you just continue to do it. Then you run into that goal of buying a house, and now they say, yeah, you can't just pay everything off. Like, damn, that's more than the down payment. That's more than the down payment. Ooh, somebody hit their hand up. It was you?
So basically, like, it's trying to wait to the statements, because one time I paid with my credit card, said I bought something, I paid it off, bought something, I did it, I guess, like, probably like frequently, and they locked my card.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, like, and it sounds like, damn, I'm doing the right thing, but that's why I
I
say.
guess I didn't repeat it too much.
Yeah, well, it's just, I don't know that specific bank, and they're gonna look how they look at it.
No, it was with Capital One.
So, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying, like, I'm not saying that if she did that would happen to her. You see what I'm saying? Everybody's case, because your report dictates why that happened more than anything. Capital One is Capital One, and he may love them because they deal with him. They give him increases. She may dislike him. I might like him a little bit. He may like him a lot. So everything is based off risk for them, and risk isn't always associated with something negative. You just prove that. So to them, and that's why I say it's It's a power bag. This is what we want you to do. Can you do it? We just do this. Just do this right here. You use this. Wait on us now. It's the minimum. You want to do more, that's fine. But when you talk about trying to beat the statement day, because that's the information that's out here. If you pay at this time, you get double the, no, bro, you use that at 615, you went to a 580, you're going to be right back to a 615. You didn't do nothing different. The limit stayed the same. You just paid it to zero. That's the seesaw. That's why I call it a seesaw. You use up, and you come back, and then you get level, and then depending on the decisions you make, it's going to do this. So I'm not a fan of because people will market that, TikTok, YouTube, all that, yeah, man, you pay on statement day and then pay double, like, dude, the score, yeah, it'll go up and down, but the person that's paying attention understands, man, I ain't went no higher than where I was at. I mean, this is just the facts. Facts of the matter. Somebody have, is that you? Oh, you playing.
Well, they were also saying paying before the statement date lowers the interest, so is that not true? Because I actually
Well,
been doing that.
that's
when
the-
I read that.
The running, yeah, the running. You know what I'm saying? When I call it the running, you got what's the interest, you got the APR, all that. Yeah, but again, like for me personally, I'm speaking for me. I don't deal with interest because I'm already in that disciplinary spot.
Right.
I'm already there. I don't care about that because I'm not accepting nothing I don't like out the gate no way. So if you're in a situation where you know it's an ugly interest,
Oh, it's
then
probably
you
gonna
gotta
be
fix
interest rate, yeah.
fix you. Then you ain't gotta face that at all. Like we try to get into tight spots, disciplinary wise, and then be smart about it. Where we could have been smart before we got in the spot. That's what I'm saying. Like if I know I don't like this interest on this card and I can keep it low, but let me get as good as I can before I get that next card or before I accept that next card to come in the mail. All it is education and discipline. Like, okay, all right, they got me right there. You know, I don't like that one. So I know the next one, but you know, for someone like, well, credit one just send me something. I'm taking that out the envelope. It's getting used tonight. You understand what I'm saying?
24%.
You know what I'm saying? Well, that.
She wrong, I get the mail, she like, you always in my mail, yeah.
But you know, I wish I had a mama like that. Cause listen, it's not gonna open that book and use it for itself. Yeah.
Everything you say, because I do.
No, but that's a good tactic. You know, per se, it's just having the well, I would say that plus having the discipline and education. Because you gotta have both. Like so if you get too hooked on that, you'll miss a good deal. So I can slid you 10K good interest. And I gotta take that. That's why I'm saying like you gotta if you educated, you can say, all right, I like that. Don't just look at the limit, because they're gonna tell you in big old bold numbers what the interest is. And that's important. But if you say, well, you know what, I ain't tripping on that, I don't like that, I'm gonna go ahead and rock out that 20% anyway, so I know it's easier for me to pay it off, I ain't paying no interest. Outside of whatever the annual is. You see what I'm saying? That's just me. I'm just giving how I move. Because I feel like the next person can understand that and they can just do the same thing. It's not anything complex.
No, it's good information, because I feel like I was just giving them extra payments, but my interest was already good.
Yeah. You know what I mean? You are. Yeah. They can, you can keep that.
Something else now.
Yeah, you can. Well, I mean, that's just, this is what they said do.
Right.
I use this. They're going to send you the statement. We know that. When it's electronic through the mail, they're going to send you what you owe us. And just rock out like, because again, when you understand a credit report and what it look like, ain't no brownie points on it. Ain't no brownie points on that credit report. Ain't no you paid twice this month. Okay. That's all they say. Okay, or on time. That's it. And when someone's looking at your credit, guess what? They don't care that you paid twice the statement. They don't care. Okay, on time. 30, 60, 90, 120, 160, 180 CO. You hit that CO point, it's a wrap. That's the charge off. Technically, they can do that by law after 90. So it just depends on how much we want to screw you. That's how people are able to figure out which banks they want to deal with. If you pay attention to the ones in front of us, they don't deal with certain banks. Because they know if it get bad for me, I know where they're going. So that's, just stuff you learn. Who's this? Somebody said they handed it back.
I ain't got a question,
Well, good, brother.
but I got a suggestion. My credit is decent for the most part.
He got good credit, man.
Great credit.
From the rating, he got good credit.
Yeah. For the people who don't have the discipline, so for example, if you got that $1,000 card, the 200 for that 20% or whatever, for some reason you gotta pay that 500. Emergency came up, right? And then end of the month statement come, and payment is like $50, right? You can still keep that 20% by just paying that $300 for the month to get back down to your 20%, so that when they do that credit pull, they can see if that makes sense.
Yeah, so you're basically gonna pay more.
Right, so I know I see a lot of people like, dang, 20%, you get to 200, like, I can't use this no more. If it's reporting each month by that statement date, long as you're not sitting over that 20%, you should be good, if that makes sense. So I know a lot of people looking at it like, $202, I can't do that, right? You have to go more than that, just whatever. What he's saying is, us as a community, because I had to get my credit right, because backstory with me, my mom basically, that's how we got around, and there wasn't no payment.
It's getting used. They get paid. It's getting used.
It didn't get paid, like he said earlier. So, I joined the military back in 2013. Before I left, I watched my mama, all that I ain't paying came back to her. Started garnishing her checks and all of that. I told myself that I was never getting a credit card, never, just because of seeing the history of like my mom and what she done. I always felt like if I ain't got the money, I don't need it, right? Joined the military, tried to get my first car. I probably had about 15 bands in the bank. The banks wouldn't give me nothing.
They ain't worried about their money.
They ain't. I said, hey, I can give you down payment. They ain't give me nothing, right? I'm 6'6". They was trying to put me in a Dodge Avenger. I was trying to get a Dodge Charger. Like they was
Soccer dad. You go out here like a soccer dad.
right. Like, I can't do that for you. You know. So ever since, like credit is everything. Like you said, making those statements, showing that history of if you could just make these consistent payments, right? And the dealership stuff, when I got out of the military, I worked for Nissan. I learned so much bad stuff from the dealership. Like I had to stop working there because I can't get over on people, right? I just can't do it. Like my first car I sold, older lady, about 60-some years old, right? She was a widow, her husband died. She came in, she was like, hey, I'm here to buy my first car. Never done it, you know, husband gone. Bought her the first car, she left, she called me. She said, hey, I noticed I got like a little nick in my windshield. You know, what can we do about that? I talked to my manager, he said, tell her go do her insurance. She just left the dealership. Interest rates. People would get cars, they'll never tell them their interest rate. Get in the finance office, they're looking at 19%. I've sat in the manager's office where they didn't call the local bank and said, hey, y'all doing that 2.2 interest rate,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
We'll get out there to the people and be like, all right, we got you at a 5%. So it's important to be on top of your credit.
That's crazy.
Like, it's important. Like, I've seen so much bad stuff that it's just crazy. But the 20% is legit. Back to my story, getting my first car, I was at a 540 when I was trying to get that car. No credit, didn't want it. 2 years later, I was at an 817. So it's all about opening multiple accounts, paying it on time. If you can pay the minimum, but if you keep that decent amount to where they see that, okay, you're utilizing it, but you ain't got that 70%, they will increase your interest. I mean, your credit score. So if you have to go over that 20%, maybe it's a struggle month or whatever, just pay it down to where you're still at that 20% once that statement comes, if that makes sense.
And that's important, and I said that a little bit, but I'll talk about it now because you said it. Understanding credit cards and statement dates. So, which should be simple. Every card has an open date and a statement date. Not when it's due. Not when it's due, a statement date. That's what determines when the bureaus will report what's happened. So that's what he's talking about. So you got the card on June 2nd, the statement date, or first statement date after you use it is July 18th. But you're due whatever date in between. a few days after that 18, that's when it's going, or depending on whatever you're watching monitoring wise, that's when it's going to update. So what he's saying is, if you got a $1,000 card and you use 500, which is over 20%, and let's say your minimum due is the 12th, but regardless, the statement date's the 18th. If you can catch it, you good. That's what like. If you just get back down to where you need to be, that's good. But I've seen a lot in our community, people mistake the statement date for the due date, and they're never the same. Because the bureaus have to have time to process the information. That's all it is. So when you get a card, limit, interest, due date from when you first use it, and then statement date, because your due date isn't set. When you get the card, those things happen once you used it. So you can do that too. Like, I'm not against that. It's just how I am, where I am, like, out the gate 20. I don't even want to entertain nothing else. Because I know if I get that itch, I'm going to scratch. So keep it at 20. I got big limit card, I got small. I know it's there and it's available, but the luxury of having that is knowing if I'm at a good credit score already, I can do this, and then I know what it takes to get back right. I don't have to wonder. And me and him are doing some business where it's a lot of tricks out here that I know, man. So he just, I ain't gonna say all his business, but he just got another 40,000 worth of cars just because I know how to do the applications right. Because we're doing some business together. So, and I really want to harp on that when I get to it, like to just show people how you can make money off having good credit, man. The people in front of us, man, y'all don't realize how fast they're running. We still trying to figure out what shoes to put on. So, you know, we don't know if it's stilettos or Nikes, you know, so, but I've dove in and been in those rooms, and they respect me. I don't pretend, I don't book dance, but, you know, I've been in those rooms, so I know the conversations that are had, and I'm coming back and saying, hey, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna keep doing this type of stuff, but this is what we're gonna do. Let me get a few in here to hear me, because then the message continues to go. Any other questions? Who was that? You have one? I thought you did.
I can hold off on mine.
Okay, did anybody need something to eat, drink? Bathrooms that way, ain't no Glade or spray in there, but it's bathroom that way. If y'all need something, because I got like